Thank you. I didn't see
On the
the,
record.
I didn't,
You just said on the record.
I mean, it's on the record, it's not recorded, but that's okay.
I'm sorry I was late, by the way, I got stuck behind them.
no problem.
Work.
There's paving. And then I will just follow up quickly on, thank you, Catherine, for those comments. To say that, yes, the privilege of the floor is for the board to receive information from the public, but it's not a time for debate. The board may respond at the time, or they may respond later, or the supervisor or the board members may respond later after contemplation and research. So, great. Any other comments about process? Can you hit that live button there? Thank you.
I don't know. Yeah, sideways.
Thank you. All right. John Morris, would you like to speak? And
We said the allegiance things.
go ahead, John.
Yeah, so you folks haven't seen me in a while. And I've heard rumors that, people are coming around. Well, I just want to say, rest assured, myself and most of the town that opposes restrictive and discriminatory zoning, we haven't gone away. We're just busy with summer jobs and family, and we're still here. We still don't like the zoning. And we just don't like coming in and talking to a wall. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to talk about signs in people's yards. And I think from a different point of view, I didn't see what happened last week. I agree with what you said, Catherine. What I'm going to talk about is slightly different, I hope. I've been seeing signs that support responsible zoning. People should voice their opinion. I get it. What's responsible zoning in a rural environment? We think about zoning, as a practice, it's a relatively short-lived thing. It's been around maybe 100 years. And you think of it in the city, it develops an industrial zone for big factories, a commercial area for lots of, busy businesses. And then, of course, the residential stuff. It makes sense for a city to build their infrastructure in such a way that they can accommodate, this commercial area. 4 and 6 lane highways, you don't need through the residential area, but you need them where there's a lot of business. You need bigger gas, you need bigger electric, you need more infrastructure. So there's merit there. The zoning proposal we have in front of us doesn't even have a commercial area. It has one field, my field. It's ridiculous. But all the anti-zoning things that you can find online, articles, books, sentiment from people, government pushback on zoning, it's all centered around limiting individuals' rights, primarily housing restrictions, small businesses, increased cost associated with zoning, whether it be, more support to enforce it, or just you have to do this or that in front of your business. All those things add cost. It is hard to start a business, especially now with the cost of, benefits and things associated for employees. So there's a lot of pushback against that kind of stuff. So what about rural zoning? Rural zoning is exactly all the stuff that I just mentioned. It hurts the individual, it hurts the small business, it hurts the individual trying to start a small business. It hurts the less privileged the most because they cannot fight this stuff. They cannot afford to get a lawyer, to go through multiple approval cycles at their own cost. I know this because I started a business and we had all we could do to open. We had a railing on our back deck that was a 2x4. It was disgusting for a business of our nature, but that's what it took to do it. We worked every day, all winter long. We have pictures of us. We took Christmas Day off. That's what it takes to start a small business. And when you add $5,000 or $10,000 or $50,000, it takes people out. And who does it take out? The less privileged. So we're seeing signs around town, and I will say that all the first signs that I know of showed up at board members' houses and appointed committee members of the town, which is, it's fine for anyone to have a sign. I agree with that. My problem is, I find this to be hypocrisy at its finest. And the reason I say that is because I have sat in this room on a couple of occasions and had Mark, yourself, and other board members say, we can't talk about zoning yet. We can't give our opinions. Now is not the time, because the zoning committee has not brought forth the proposal. You went to 3 listening meetings, you heard the half of the freaking town bleed their hearts out to you guys, and you gave us 10 minutes and told us nothing more than what you heard. There was no debate about whether this was time to move on. You didn't tell us what makes it good for you or not good for you. You shut down others on the town board who wanted to talk about it. But now we're posting signs. That's my problem with where the signs are. So we look back historically, we have folks like Don Barber who helped us immensely get started and has owned multiple businesses in town, you know, and was one of the driving factors to put forward this moratorium. Communications directly with Mark, we've got the emails on how to handle the moratorium, even 2 or 3 iterations in. Again, hypocrisy, you know, it's okay for me to have businesses, but if we don't like yours, I'm sorry, we don't want them.
There's a 3-minute limit.
I find it, you know, so one of my big questions now is that we're seeing obviously advocates for zoning on the board, people who are voting. Does this mean you're done listening to the town? Where we've already taken a side, you haven't seen the proposal, you've taken a side, and you're not listening to people at these meetings anymore. Is that the case? I'll hope that the answer is no. I hope you'll answer that question. Maybe when I'm done, you know, rural zoning is not responsible. It's selfish at its core. It takes away from someone in the interest of someone else. It discriminates. It does not set up the infrastructure like a city does. It's not what we're doing here. If you were only concerned about big buildings in the town, you know, big businesses, that's the way this plan would be structured. It's not. You know, I found out this week that Hector has finalized, again, their proposal. It's down to 32 pages. It's taken out every single thing that affects the individuals. That's responsible zoning. This is not 132 pages limiting everything you can think of.
John, you're at 5 minutes.
Yeah, I get it. I'm gonna keep going. I'm sorry. I haven't been here in a while. I use the rest of
So,
my time.
by signing that sheet, you agreed to the,
Do you want me to cross my name off and just talk?
no, I want you to
Can I
step
hear
down in the step.
I'll give
And
time.
That's not allowed. You're not respecting the process of the board meeting. You can
So,
write us a letter.
we'll
You can
sit
send
back
a
in our
comment.
fancy houses, with pro zoning signs, relaxing into retirement with no aspirations of building anything. Yet we put forth regulations that will prevent others from reaching their aspirations. It's a hard thing for people in this town to understand why that can happen in a town of 3,000 people. I've got a neighbor in Lounsbury that recently, and this is where I'll talk about the selfishness, in my opinion. I've got a neighbor, Lois Lounsbury, awesome person. She's been the best neighbor we could imagine. Allocated a bunch of her land to the Finger Lakes Land Trust. A very noble cause, you know, I respect her a ton for doing that, even though that might not be my choice with my land. If we sat here with 5 individuals and voted a law into place that said, Lois, I'm sorry, but we think that because you're adjacent to Route 79 and close to the busiest part of town in Brooktondale, your land needs to be commercial. It can't be residential. That's the way it's going to be. How do you think Lois would feel about that? That's how everybody feels when we talk about taking away their rights. And you might agree with some of it, you might not agree with some of it, but ultimately it's the same thing. If we told her no, then we tell somebody else no, it's the same thing.
You need to stop. It has been over 3
Listen,
minutes.
I'm sorry.
You're not sorry.
I am.
No, you're not.
I'm sorry that I have to be here
You
wasting my
don't
day
have to be here.
talking
You
about this
don't
stuff.
have to be
You are out of
disrespectful.
order, Mr.
You're
Morris.
out of order.
Well,
You are disrespecting us and your fellow residents who are here in attendance.
exactly. You know, we can't discuss zoning here, but we can put the signs up. That somehow is okay. You know, you all understand what I'm saying. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right what's going on with this whole thing. I don't think it's right that we didn't have a discussion after all the town came out, poured their hearts out. And I don't think it's right that you're posting things at your homes without finishing the process after you told us that's what had to happen. Sorry for taking.
No, it's not for the classics. This is not a play. This is not a play, and this is not to the public. It's supposed to give us the information. This is not a pep rally.
We're just showing them.
I don't, I want to
Showing them the old things again.
So I,
You know, Kate, if you
No,
can't
this-
feel the heat, you ought to be out of the kitchen.
stop. So
Yes, ma'am.
That's true.
Yeah, very true.
there are people who will not come and talk here because of the applause and because of the catcalling and harassment of people who disagree with you guys. People have come and told me this.
So we should assume that they're. the
You should be
majority now? That's what's
polite.
been going on.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You should be polite and listen to the rules and stay with the rules, so we have a safe environment for people to come and talk to us.
Isn't that what that's for too?
What?
Your Zoom? They don't have to sit here next to us. If we decide to
People
clap
should
at
be
someone,
able
there's
to
nothing
come
wrong with
here and
that. There's
speak
nothing
or come to
wrong
the
with
listening
showing
session
appreciation for
and
someone
be
speaking.
able to say
So-
something.
No one has ever been mean in
So-
here to anybody.
please stop. This needs to stop. So I do want to respond to the suggestion that we haven't been listening, that we've been muted. I fully support this initiative. We did this very intentionally. It's been a long-term planning effort, beginning with the completion of the comprehensive plan. And I have not, nor has anybody else muted one another as board members. We do understand that while the zoning commission is working on a draft zoning law, that they are an independent body and we should leave that to them. But I am quite happy to tell you that, yes, I am in support of responsible zoning. That's why we initiated this process, and it's on me, it's my responsibility to ensure that it is something that benefits the town, all of the people in the town. That's my goal. So, we have been listening, and we will continue to do so. So with that, I want to move on to the board meeting.
I have to say something.
Do you agree to abide by
Yeah,
the rules and
I'll take less than a minute.
process? Okay,
Okay,
so Rob Swansboro,
so Kate, you just said that the town board never interrupted anybody at the listening session.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, I can tell you
That's
that
not what I said.
I was at all three of the listening sessions. There was one person interrupted by the town board during all the listening sessions when they were speaking, and that was me.
That's
I
not
got
what I
rudely
said.
interrupted.
That's not what I said.
I stood there and said, stop, let the people speak that were for the zoning. And you can go back to the recordings. I think everybody should have their own opinion. But I also believe that what you guys consider the silent majority isn't as many people as you said. And when a town board member says, well, I've had multiple people come up to me and say, I'm not coming because I feel intimidated. Well, how many is multiple? Is it 4? Is it 100? How many is it? How many is it?
okay, thank you. All right, well, after those comments and conversation, I hope we can agree in the future to abide by meeting process in order to have a constructive dialogue and to have a constructive board meeting. So with that, I will move on.
Is there anybody on up there that wants to?
Does anyone in the Zoom world wish to speak?
Yeah,
I didn't see any hands.
Okay,
I guess I have one comment too, or a query, an offer of curiosity. Because I really want to know how to make this better. The listening sessions, as I've said publicly before, and I'll say now, the format of them was not my preference, and I'm on record saying that. So, there will be additional meetings to have more of a back, or I'm hoping that there will be additional formats where there is actual dialogue. That may not be the format of a public hearing, but I think
It is not.
okay, so if it's not the
Absolutely.
format of a public hearing, and it's not the format of additional information sessions from the zoning commission, then I guess the question, I'll just like put a pin in now for us to contemplate. And I would be really curious to have constructive feedback on this of like, how could this be made better? You know, like what kind of a format of a meeting, if you could like dream up your ideal meeting format, what would that even look like? And I like authentically really want to know. Because I, you know, would advocate for something like that. I mean, it is true that every single format thus far, including privilege of the floor, and now including, as you're confirming, a public hearing, is a unidirectional kind of situation, right?
It's bi-directional.
Well, but it's not dialed, I mean, so, I mean, I will personally take anyone's email, you know, to just, if you have a constructive like idea for how a town engagement would go and like what that would look like and be like and feel like for you, I authentically want to know. So, and maybe not now, but I mean, you're not,
Not, no.
but like, I'm like happy, I really want to know.
Thank you, Cass.
Thank you.
I'll take you.
Okay, sure. So,
And I think that's, you know, I think questions like that are things that the zoning commission will be thinking about as they move forward and, you know, I mean, how to have a productive meeting, so. And I think it's something we can consider as well, so. But I do think that, what happened tonight, and I don't want to go on with this because I want to have our board meeting tonight. But I think it illustrates the importance of a respected process. And so that doesn't mean that questions can't get answered, but I don't think having I think it needs to be structured.
I'm agreeing, I'm saying that because this, I think, happens partly, largely, I don't know how much, because there's no other format that feels satisfying. I'm not judging the rightness or wrongness of the feeling. I'm not judging it, but there's clearly a feeling that it is unsatisfying. And as I said at the beginning of this, I find privilege of the floor unsatisfying. So, you know, we can.
Okay. Great. I would like to move on to the
Yeah.
meeting and we can continue the discussion. This could go, you know, be a deep discussion and I don't want to derail the meeting. So,
I think some good points have been made in the privilege of the floor tonight, though. I'd like to say that.
okay. I will move on to my report. So we received a letter from Jay Franklin, Director of Assessment, notifying us of increased limits for senior disability exemptions and pending bill to offer assessment reductions for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers. So that's something that I think we may want to dig in on and he provided us a quote unquote impact assessment.
Yeah.
So Jesse and I got that notice, and Jesse asked him for an impact analysis, so. And we've been wanting to sort of refresh our exemptions for the public. The authority to hold remote meetings expired on 9/12 at midnight, and so now the public meetings will now require a quorum of a body to be present at one or more locations that are advertised and accessible to the public. Other members of the body may attend remotely to participate and vote, but they do not contribute to the quorum number. And then a few notes. Broadband, the county is working on broadband, and they've engaged another contractor to evaluate and provide guidance to municipalities and the collective group on how we can solve the rural broadband deficiency issue. And so as members of TCOG, Joel Gagnon and I are going to co-chair a subcommittee, and I think what we're going to do is follow the county work because they are doing that. So we're also watching Danby's municipal broadband project, which is intriguing.
Do you know if our tower height limitation has any impact on? Or is that more just cell coverage?
Well,
would be self.
most broadband is not tower based, or it's on the.
It's not, I didn't know what part of it, you know, in the whole,
Yeah, no.
I just know it's neat when it works and it's frustrating when it doesn't. I don't necessarily know all the ins and outs behind it, and I just wondered if.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're hoping this county project will,
Let the experts figure it out.
exactly, yeah, so. The TCOG Emergency Services Planning Subcommittee, we will be presenting to the Tompkins County Public Safety Committee tomorrow to describe the issue about the stretching of rural emergency services, the situation and potential solutions. EIC is and Mike Brown is taking lead on this, is investigating community choice aggregation that Rod Howe has been spearheading with TCOG. I was asked to serve on a steering committee for the Tompkins County Code Enforcement Study, so I agreed to do that. So that should be an interesting learning experience. And then I've been working on the budget development, so that's my report. If anybody has questions. Great. Okay. Jesse, town clerk's report.
I don't have a report to give tonight, but I will include the collection fees for August in the minutes of tonight's meeting.
Great, thank you. Bob, Highway Superintendent's report.
Mine will be pretty quick. We finished up our Buffalo Road project. We're able to finish that well under budget and what we were thinking. The guys picked up a lot of that labor and we just subbed out what we had to sub out. Finishing up a few more projects. And we did get the order in for the loader, which is limited to the ground will be here. So now I have some other stuff on committee.
That's in process, the loader thing.
What's that?
That's in process of.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Great,
So yeah, I have some more when it comes to the committee stuff.
great, thank you. Code officers report. Cliff, do you want to offer a report?
Hello, everyone. For those of you that haven't met me, my name's Cliff Babson. I'm the new code enforcement officer here in Caroline. I started on August 25th. And since starting, I have issued 12 building permits, 2 C of Os. I have 2 ready to issue. I've done over 18 inspections, and I've got 20 open applications, most of which predate me. They were just waiting for some piece of information to be processed. And I've cataloged over 80 files. When I got here, the Steve Courtright was the temporary, they had temporary code enforcer. And the last permanent code enforcer was using a computerized system to manage the process. And the temporaries were using paper. So I've identified 80 plus files, paper files that need to be added to the computer system. So I've got those all set aside and ready to go. Get entered, which will probably happen over the winter when the inspections slow down. Putting most of my focus on processing new applications as they come in and conducting inspections for the contractors and homeowners as they need them. So I'm trying to respond to the public, and I'll take care of the paperwork when things slow down. I'm maintaining the paperwork as I go. I'm putting them into the computer and keeping all that up to date, but that backlog I'm slowly working away at. I've contacted all the fire chiefs, introduced myself, set up the working relationship on when we interact with one another. I've spoken to Tompkins County Health as well and found who my contact is there. I've registered with the Department of State for the basic training, code officer training. And that's about it. I think it's been a busy 3 weeks. For those of you citizens of Caroline in this meeting, you have a wonderful, beautiful little town here. I just love it. I've been driving through, conducting the inspections. It's just a really nice, I'm not from here originally, obviously. And I have nothing to do with the zoning. So if I show up, I'm not the town's official sent to zone you. Building enforcement, code enforcement and zoning are 2 separate things. So there's been some misunderstandings. A lot of people think I'm the bad guy. I have no stake in that game. I have no opinion one way or the other. I'm just there to help. The building codes have been around, and their purpose is to help make safe buildings for everybody. And that's all. That's what I'm doing. The zoning is a whole separate item and doesn't necessarily affect me. So that's pretty much my first month or 3 weeks. If anybody has any questions, I'm part-time, so my hours are, I come in and spend a full day on Mondays and Fridays. And then by chance or appointment, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. So fairly easy to reach. There's a town cell phone, which I don't know the number off the top of my head. But there's also extension 3 on the main line to the town offices.
Right. Great. Thank you, Claire.
You've had a busy 3 weeks.
What's that?
You've had a busy 3 weeks. Thank
It's
you.
been very busy. Yep.
Yep.
Cliff, Cal Snow, I have one question. When you say 12 building permits, does this tend to be whole houses or roof replacements? I just wondered what the nature of, when you say building permits.
So it's been quite a mix. The ones that I've issued there's been a new kitchen, new roof, a new porch, new HVAC equipment, solar install, a wood stove, anything that requires a permit. I haven't issued one for a new home yet, although I have processing several of those. Those take longer, right? So if somebody's going to build a new home, then I have to do a plan review, and they have to have a septic system before I can issue the permit, and manual J calculation. So some of those have come in. Those are the 20 open applications that I have, or 20 plus. Some of them are for new construction, but the ones I've issued have been mostly the ones that are quick and easy, a wood stove, the solar system, HVAC upgrades, or, like a new kitchen, things that don't require detailed review and lots of boxes to check, a lot of NAs. I don't need a site plan. I don't need detailed stamped drawings for a new kitchen. when there's no bearing walls involved or anything like that. So they've been mostly the little ones.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Cliff. Sounds
Yes,
very
sir.
good.
Hey, John.
Let's see, okay, so, oh, county representatives report, is Dan here?
He sent an email.
Yes, that, let's see, so I did print it, so I could actually pretend to be Dan. So just, county's in the midst of the 2023 budget review. He thinks that it currently stands, it would increase the tax levy by 1.4%. But decrease the county property tax bill for a median priced home by $83. That's $225,000 home. And they're still working on it, so he says there's a lot of moving parts. And then he speaks about the broadband project by the county. So they've contracted with a consultant, and they have put a survey out that people can respond to, tompkinsbroadband.com. And there you can take an internet speed test and then go on to a 27-question survey to help inform the process. So. And then he mentioned the Community Recovery Fund that the county developed to distribute ARPA funds. And so, and I think Emily Adams sent us an email today about that too. So that's something to maybe dig in on and think about for us. So that's his report. Did anybody have thoughts or questions about that?
I'd like more information about that, the ARPA funds, what they're for and how to get that money.
Well,
That was kind of
So there was a,
odd today.
yeah, there was a presentation that was recorded and
Okay.
that's
I'll
That's
watch
where
that
it is.
then. Yeah.
And I'm sure Dan would be helpful if we asked him, so. Great. Thank you, Dan. Committee, or liaison updates.
So ag meets tomorrow here, sorry, poorly timed candy insertion in mouth. 7 p.m. town hall. It's actually a good one to come to if anyone from the public is interested in sharing opinion about ag in the town. Because what we are doing tomorrow is kind of continuing to vision and mission, not only the committee, but the committee's work around like what we want to do with ag. So I'll actually just read out loud the questions that have been posed to the committee, and then we have a larger listserv for ag. And if anyone else wants to participate, they're more than welcome. So the questions are, if Caroline's agricultural sector is going to keep changing as it always has, what do we want that change to look like? The second question is, what could we as a committee do to nudge it in the right direction? The third question is, what do you love about how Caroline's land/farms/rural aesthetic/land-based businesses are now? What do you love about those things, how they are now? And the last question is, what land-based resources exist now that you think really need to be preserved? So feel free to answer one or two or more or none and come to the meeting tomorrow where we will be talking about that. The other just baseline background activity of the committee is the grant, the farmland protection plan, which we're moving forward with, but we're trying to get a lay of the land, so to speak, of goals.
That's great.
You're waiting on the grant now, right?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions for Catherine?
I just want to, so I won't be able to come to the meeting tomorrow night, but I would like to start coming to them.
Yeah, sure.
'Cause
All are
I'm really
welcome.
interested in hearing.
All are welcome. Totally. Yeah, that's a good group.
It's in person here.
It's in
Are
person
you-
here.
Are you zooming too?
We can be two together, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can have more than two together as long as we're not right?
doing
We're
anything
not making
about-
decisions.
Right,
policies,
okay.
right,
so, Yeah, we can all
exactly.
be there if we want to.
You can all be there.
We can
Yeah.
all have a Christmas party and not.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I will say that I've started the Zoom link every time and no one has ever joined, so I mean, I can open it, but.
So you open it on your computer and then people
I
can join if they
don't,
want to. Okay.
But it's been primarily in person, and. Yeah, and I guess just a note that like, you know, the ag committee in particular, what we're doing tomorrow, is for everyone in the sense that like everyone has a stake in ag because everyone purchases and consumes food. So that is kind of the perspective that we're taking, you know, tomorrow, and at least like casting a very broad net around who is involved in ag. My belief is that everyone is involved in ag because we all eat. So
eating is an agriculture.
eating is
I'm canning pears, so.
Yeah, so how that relates to then like land use preservation and land planning, I mean, that's all, it's like all related, you know, so. It's a good, yeah, it's a good group. That's all. For me.
Any other questions?
Okay, do you have anything?
Well, just, Mark and I talked this afternoon on the old town hall here. We'd like to get the eaves trough on this fall before winter. And maybe some pointing up at the foundation. Get going on that. I think we've talked with Steve and Dundee and, you know, I think we got, here's a reasonable way forward. So.
I saw an old photo of the building when it was a school and it needed painting then. Just so that's historic right now. It's an historic.
And you think of what they painted it with back then, lead,
Lead paint, milk paint, yeah,
yeah,
whitewash.
we had kids around and nowadays that would just be unthinkable.
I talked to someone who seemed to know he has a bed and bath in Cortland or something. He came in the town hall. He said a lot of old buildings actually didn't have lead paint.
Okay, they had the milk paint.
He was wondering
Oh,
if I tested this building and
no,
I,
probably. It had, I thought it was scraped off. It's just been painted over.
I don't know,
Was there any
there's
lead
some areas
remediation?
where there's pretty thick and
Yeah,
kind of alligated.
because we had,
Maybe that's just one of those conclusions we jump to.
well, no, I did a test from it turned the right color pink, yeah, so,
but there's a lot of,
To be
Yeah.
lead or not.
to be lead
yeah.
on this building, yeah.
Don't eat the paint, people.
Don't eat the
Yeah.
paint or dirt. A lot of fields they use lead arsenate in, right, before DDT, and the lead's still out there, like so orchard sites and things
Yeah.
like that. Bean plants, fields. A lot of lead out there. No,
Yeah,
Did you have a comment, Bob, a minute ago?
No, just on the next committee.
On the what?
On
he's the next,
committee.
the next,
I don't have a comment on that one.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Reason for the
yeah,
next.
I just wanted to. The Ithaca Tompkins County Transportation Council, the city of Ithaca got that Safe Streets for All grant in yesterday.
Oh, good.
So,
Hmm.
and so that's really good. The resolution, I think I said this last week, but the resolution that we said we could pay up to 7,000, New York State DOT is putting, if we get the grant, we'll put up $50,000 in matching, so that brings us down to 3,000, I think. So, the village, Prevail and the village Dryden have both joined in too, so it's most of the county, so we're really got our fingers crossed on that. And then the, Youth Commission, I working, trying to understand how it works, how the different committees work and what they're responsible for. And I had a good talk with the woman who runs it, Kate Shanks Booth. I'm gonna have another one that I got off and started having lots of questions about it, but I'm hoping maybe to find some funds for the community centers.
Good.
That work with kids and programs there, so maybe the camp in the summer, things. I got to talk to Nancy anyway, so I'm working with that. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
I had a little bit of a frustration in the last month with New York State DOT, just trying to get a hold of them about signing. Or, you know, there was the blue and yellow plaque that marks Ewing Creek that should be at the town border, you know, just, hey, guys, can I get it to you? You know, you just kind of, well, I gotta talk to the next person, and
So I did come up with a new state contact, so.
you did.
Yeah.
That's good news.
So we can work on that.
Okay. Maybe you can get something more direct, but at least the number I got, just,
So
it's not going anywhere.
what's the sign problem on the state road?
Well, we had one of those big blue signs with historic marker signs. And it's supposed to mark the
Oh, right.
beginnings of the Owego Creek and.
Right, right.
And then also, you know, right to farm signage on state, could we put them on some of the state's existing?
I see.
And
Those are the.
Cal called the sign guy from the DOT who apparently doesn't exist, right? Or they
well,
do
it's just
exist.
like, well, I gotta talk to my supervisor and the supervisor's gotta talk to this next person and the next person's gotta talk to somebody who's gotta do interference analysis. And-
Oh, if it's blocking.
Yeah, or too many sign, I'm just saying, you know, I don't know how to cut through the bureaucracy to get, no, you can't do it, let's just forget about it.
Well, also just somebody to keep pushing and where to push, because somebody's
Yeah.
gonna set it down their desk and then have something else come up. and You're
Yeah.
gonna forget about it until somebody
Yeah, because
reminds them.
just this guy from this little town in the backwater,
Right,
at least that's the feeling I get, you know.
from the headwaters of the Owego Creek.
And I just, you know, the sign sitting in my garage and.
Right.
I just like to get it up in the right spot. You know, somebody just dropped it off here.
Do you know someone now?
I've, yeah. Contact.
New contact,
Yeah, good, that's, we're moving along.
progress.
Okay, interesting.
I did tell you that the county came and pulled the thing out of the swimming hole over on the Valley roadside. They didn't pull it out, they cut it off.
Right.
underneath the
I
water.
talked to Frank.
Yeah,
about it.
so that was,
Right.
something did happen with the
Yeah, no,
highway department, so
yeah,
it
just,
does.
we have to, maybe sometimes it just takes dogged persistence. So. But I was just hoping, you know, things like, to me, it seems simpler if, you know, if we're putting up, when we put up the right to farm signs, why couldn't it just be on a, you know, a signpost that's already there, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
I agree.
Certain signs can't be double.
Right, but they've got their whole book of how it has to be done.
have you tried talking to the other towns that have the signs up and see how they did it?
No. That's a good idea.
Okay.
I just had to, thank you. You just
The ones
had-
that have state road went through the state.
They went to the state. But
Well, maybe they
Putting
got
a
a name.
sign on state road, you have to.
Yeah.
Maybe you can say, well,
Right.
this town did it and this
Right,
guy
was it a
okayed it.
particular person.
Yeah.
Or it's the old thing of, you know, what is it? Permission versus,
Yeah,
Yeah.
forgiveness.
Eastern asked forgiveness. and-
Yeah.
Yeah,
so anyway, I just,
okay.
I was hoping that we could get that, but I just want to let you know I had pursued it a little bit, maybe just not enough.
great, no, thank you. That's great.
And I want to let you know about town hall. We'd like to get, you know, East Drop seems to collect that eve water to get it away.
Yeah, I think that would be
It's
significant improvement.
Start on things.
Any other committee report? You had a question, Bob, or input?
Little bit of a question, a little bit of a statement, a little bit of everything in this one. It's now 4 months later. And we are no farther on an RFQ for a highway building. It has been put so far on the back burner that at this point,
It's not on the back burner, Bob, so
it's been 4 months, Mark.
well, it's been 4 months, but
What have we done since?
I am working on
last
it.
time we talked about
I spoke with TG Miller, so, you know, so that's, conversation has started, so. And, you know,
Okay,
one,
conversation with just you and D.D. Millers, because I know nothing, of many conversations.
yeah, so, anyway, I don't-
It's hand. You
okay,
can't answer it, so anyway. So. We talked about writing an RFQ. When will the RFQ be written?
I'll have it ready for the October meeting.
So
Right, okay.
I'm still getting phone calls, and I've gotten phone calls offering some help. So I've talked to Jim from the Bird, who has offered to write an RFQ free of charge.
Then would LaBerge want to bid on the project?
Right, we're just writing an RFQ. But yes, I'm sure the Bird will want to bid on the project.
Mhm.
And that wouldn't be a conflict of interest if they did.
That's my question. That's why I thought it would be better not to have our engineers do it so that it would avoid that. And they would be free to.
So. Here's the other part of the question that comes with that. So a while ago, we had a committee put together. For the highway building. What reason is there that we cannot have that committee again?
There's no reason we can't do that. The board decided to work with an engineering firm and have basically with the board. So,
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 5 more board members have an awful lot to do. There's an awful lot of other projects going on, an awful lot of other committees going on. And this one doesn't seem to be going anywhere. If you can see where my frustration's at, I feel like it's a big waste of time.
well. Yeah.
I said something, let's see, 2 months ago. I mean, if I remember correctly, you said, I'll have some information the next meeting. Well, the next meeting came along, guess what? There's no information. Here we are at this meeting, there's no information.
So I told you I'll have something in October, Bob, and you know, we can always talk about this in the office.
Well, not really, because this is the highway committee, 5 board members and myself. That is the highway committee.
That's true. But I mean,
So I'm asking the whole highway committee at this point, not just.
okay, okay,
So we need an
Because that's what we
RFQ
also-
by October.
What's that?
We need an RFQ by next meeting, which has been promised. And
An RFQ.
which is
for-
only a request. I mean, that's not that for the next stage of the,
RFQ is just a request for qualifications.
Applications for what?
for design and construction of the new highway facility.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
yeah, it's always been designing, right? This is not changed, like,
No, it's the
okay.
same.
Yeah, I
Policy,
just-
design and construction of the building,
Okay,
right?
I would just like it, just
Yeah.
know we're
So
going
I
to.
have a model
Yeah, okay.
RFP now. And I was, I was thinking an RFP is the way to go.
Wait, Q is quote and P is what?
Q is qualifications, P is
Well.
proposals. So.
Which we basically went through the RFQ before.
mhm.
So,
But that process is not a long process. That's like a 1-page.
It's more the RFP.
But the initial request is not the lengthy process, that what you're alluding to is the length of time, once the request gets put out, then we need to get all of the bids in, right?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't have to be that lengthy. I mean, you just tell you put the RFP out and you say proposals are due by.
Okay.
September 30th or whatever, and. Bid opening will be on October 10th or
Okay.
whatever, so. Yeah. So I hear you.
Can somebody like TG Millet help us evaluate the qualifications versus,
That's a question I put forward, so.
Yeah.
Conversation's not complete yet, so.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So before, when, yeah, we've had TG Miller assist us with other bid projects. They assisted us with the bid process for the roof project here.
correct? But like under, if we have a request for proposals, it seems that to me, Little Bears has already given us a proposal for a building design. Right,
In their preliminary thing.
yeah, or is it, we just,
No, it's, I mean. A proposal would be, engineered. Architectural drawings and numbers.
rather than
What
just
it
kind of
cost us. There's the bonding process is part of it, so.
yeah, just,
it's a-
where the
It's
money
a
comes
huge.
from.
So the town of Lansing is doing this right now, and they're actually having an open house on Saturday morning. At their highway barns, so.
What are they having an open house about? Sorry.
I think they're having an open house just with the firm they've chosen to do their project. So
I can't make that, but are you going?
I don't know, I'm not sure I can go, but I might go. Did you know about that, Bob, project there or anything? No?
It seems that RFP is a big step ahead of an RFQ. Request for a proposal,
Mhm,
request for qualifications is just kind of seems to me like a CV.
mhm.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that we'd have coming forward with any proposals with it.
Would show us their qualifications, what they've
Yeah.
done before.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seemed to me, it would make to jump ahead to request for proposals.
Mhm.
Versus
Yeah.
qualifications. Well, Bears would help do an RFQ or an RFP.
Jim said he's willing to help with whatever we need.
Yeah.
Just to get things rolling.
And they give their own they give their own qualifications and then proposals. Seems like they've already done a lot of work.
I think it makes sense to. Proceed on the path I'm on with, independently, so that they
DG
can,
Miller and give them a request for proposal.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea the time and cost?
I don't know, yeah.
Why exactly would we pay for one if we can get one for free?
Yeah. I want to know what the cost would be, or even if they can do it, and then I can circle back. But
Okay,
I just really think it's wise to. I just think that's
okay.
wise to avoid that conflict.
And that would be somebody like we'd be working with with Dondi or,
Or maybe Dave, Eric.
okay. So we'll have something for the board next month.
I'll get back to you shortly to
Okay,
update you on what the situation is. Not gonna wait a month.
okay. Have to get a hold of Cliff for a building permit.
Okay, are we
Yep.
done with committee reports? Are we good?
Didn't sign in, right?
No. He's
Yes, yeah,
got a big project tonight, so the I move on to offer this resolution. I'm not gonna read it. It's on the website to adopt the town of Caroline Freedom of Information Policy. And it basically just, provides clarity on the process for us and for the public. So that's the whole intent of it. And, we sort of became aware of the need for this, and
It's been vetted.
Committee on Open Governments has a model law. That's basically what this is. The town of Ulysses at least has pretty much the same policy on their website,
And it's working for them.
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, it's, as you could read, it's boilerplate.
Yep, yeah,
I understand it's kind of wonky, but
that's the way the world works now. Okay,
I don't know,
Okay,
I
the
guess.
record access officers, the clerk, okay.
Yeah, and we've designated that for, so the clerk cannot be the appeals officer. So we needed to designate somebody to do that, so,
Can we talk about the need for this?
sure.
What is the need for this?
What I just described, so,
Well, what you said was that it was brought to our attention that we need, I'm not trying to argue, I've already sent an email expressing
Right.
questions and no one got,
and I did reply.
I know you
Okay.
did. But the response is like, to be totally honest, like I look back at my email to be like, did I miss something? Like that we haven't, this is the first we're discussing FOIL process in the town as a thing that like we need to deal with. And like we have a resolution that's like, be it so resolved, we're doing this thing.
Uh-huh.
And respectfully, your introduction of this is like, it's boilerplate and we just do this thing and like, here we go. And I'm like very not okay with that.
Okay,
So I think that
I can maybe try to help to explain.
you, Jesse,
This came up because there was a FOIL request that I gave a partial denial to. And
Okay.
denial was then appealed. Or asked for an appeal, so. As the records management officer, I cannot answer an appeal. That has to be, so anyway, Committee on Open Government said to look at our policy and see who the appeals officer would be. We do not have one in place. We have
okay,
one in place so that if the public challenges records or denials, then it gives them the right to, try to appeal it and have somebody else determine whether or not the records will be disclosed. So that's why.
okay, thank you. That is very helpful. So it sounds like the primary objective is to have an appeals officer.
That's right.
Okay,
and just rules in place, but will these rules hold any weight against the FOILs that have already been made after the fact?
well,
It doesn't matter because there hasn't been any appeal for a denial before this. So there's no other ones in question. And the one appeal's already, that's been satisfied and that's done. This is just in the future, we have it in place so that there's no confusion about,
Okay, so this is going forward, not reacting to something in the past.
that's correct.
great. So, and then to have an appeals, are there any other issues? I mean, aside from,
it's definitely more than just appeals.
okay, can you help me understand?
Well, so this just lays out the groundwork for the FOIL process for the public. What's available, what's subject to FOIL, everything in town records is subject to FOIL. There are a few things that the town can deny. They are, you can exclude those.
Yep.
Based on the exclusions provided in this document, and by public officers law or freedom of information law.
And if it's not specified, then they've got.
Well, so yeah, I mean, yeah, so right, so
Yeah, this will detail the whole process of.
Yeah. And this is what Jesse deals with every time, having to understand what's appropriate. It's not just what materials appropriate, but what kind of requests are appropriate.
Yep, it
You
gives her,
can't just say, send me everything you got,
yeah, it gives her. a
and that's what
roadmap.
happens.
So I, like, to be clear, like, I'm asking this question in seriously steady advocacy of Jesse, I'm not saying we don't need help with FOIL. I think we need a lot of help with FOIL. I'm not clear on whether this policy, like, Jesse, you've just been very clear and helpful in saying, like, we need an appeals officer that we don't currently have. That is in this law, that is in this policy. So
Yeah.
that's one, okay.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
In terms of the workload and the volume and the requesting,
Yeah,
the current overwhelm of the office with FOIL, which is truly outrageous, but that's another issue.
Right.
I'm unclear as to whether or not this is going to change that.
This
no,
is not, that is not the purpose of this.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
This is to help understand how to deal with the FOIL requests and give us a way to.
I mean, I guess I'm asking, like, the public is the one that needs to understand this, right? Not like Jesse already understands this. We already understand this.
Well, it doesn't, this gives Jesse more authority. That's my understanding. Is that correct, Jesse?
not authority, it's just, if by law, we have to, you know, this is all based on the FOIL law itself. So all this information is just taken from that to explain the process. And, you know, it is for the public, but it's just an important policy to have in place for the town. So people know what to expect. This isn't to help, you know, grant or deny anything that's come in or might come in. This is just strictly for knowledge. And Committee on Open Governments, I don't know, it might be actually a law to have something like this in place in your municipality.
So this will be on the website.
This will be on the town website. It's
Right.
Specified in the resolution, in the policy.
Right.
And it is something that we do need to have in place, you know.
It
so-
should have had, but let's get it in place.
Say
It's
that
something
again.
we should have had in place probably earlier,
Exactly.
but let's get it done. Did you run
So
by
in-
Mr. Crowe?
In relation to this, and this is something I did not know about. And there's something called town code. So town code is where all the laws are codified into a single document. And so you can go to Suntown websites and it just says a town code, and you go there and it's like a book. And so Guy said, our attorney said, you know, that's one of the values of having a town code, because in the process of creating the town code document, it updates things that are antiquated, it gets rid of things that are antiquated, and it makes sure that you have on the books what you need to have on the books, so. I'm not saying, that's something we need to do right now, but it's something we might want to think about.
We might be missing something else that we don't know about. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, it would just, yeah, it's a nice thing to have in place for administration of your town, of your town laws, so,
Okay.
yeah. And when Jesse reached out to the Committee on Open Governments about our FOIL policy, she said, well, you should look in your code. Town code, it's probably there.
Yeah.
So we said, what's that?
Yep.
So the copies there's a fee for copies. All right.
That's what we had before.
There always is, yeah, there always has been.
That's what we had before.
Those are motion.
So I did put it forward. I don't know if I got a second. Cal seconded it. And I would like to know if there's any further questions about it or concerns.
Is this would there be anything else that we could add to this, Jesse, that would be helpful to you in terms of like clarification about, for example, number of hours per week that a clerk can reasonably dedicate to FOIL requests or anything like that, or this is enough for you?
That's enough. The law itself gives me, I have a certain amount of time to answer a request. So, I mean, it's my office hours are listed there when someone can make the request, and then the law tells me how long I have to respond to that request. So that's the only reason why that my hours of operation are there. That's when someone can submit a FOIL to, so.
I think if it's not in, well, yeah, I just see it. It's a written request is required. I found it. I just was reading
Right, but it can be
request
waived.
above that.
It's required, but
It can be
that can be waived
Yeah.
if it's an easy request.
Section 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this does set the timelines,
Mhm.
the periods of time for responses, and so
5 and 20
people can understand.
business days.
So it sets things up both ways.
And these are, I want to emphasize, I mean, these are the procedures that we've been following, but now it's laid out in this
Yep,
policy.
it's written down.
The only thing that's new is the appeals officer.
That's new. I put, we put, in the absence of the clerk, we designated Velvet as the records access officer in the absence of the clerk.
So the assistant.
Yeah.
Doesn't have names here, right? Just the town clerk and the assistant.
That's right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Does the appeals officer need to be, I know we talked a little bit about this over email, it has to be designated in this now or no? Of who the appeals officer is, or that's a separate in the organization?
No, yeah, it is designated in here.
And is that advisable to be an elected official, or should it be a like a neutral party?
No, it's often the supervisor,
Okay.
so. But I've seen, as I mentioned in my email, you could designate something like the quote. Second deputy supervisor, and then in your organizational resolutions, you'll say, Catherine Goldberg is designated as the second deputy supervisor. And then that would mean that you're designated to be the appeals officer.
Right, I'm just saying elected versus a non-elected.
No, elected is appropriate,
Okay.
just as Jesse is.
Or, yeah, it's true. I only have one typo.
Some kind of typo.
Yeah, upon locating the records, the second page, or the first page. Right, the reasons therefore, but I don't know. Jesse, are you in this document right now, or we'll just put it in the?
Yeah, what section is it in, Catherine?
It's section 3, designation of records, and then the last bullet, therefore, the reasons therefore. Unless we're going for like Old English.
I think it was written that way in the
Right.
document I copied. No,
What did she say? Where is it?
yeah, I'm not.
On locating,
Therefore,
therefore.
does it look weird?
Yeah,
Okay.
Therefore can have an E in the end of it. Or not. I've seen it both ways.
Okay.
doesn't matter to me.
You done?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find this very confusing personally, and I've read it, and I consider myself to be a fairly like reasonable reader in terms of comprehension, and I just find it. If it's boilerplate, it's boilerplate, and we're just doing it, and I want to do whatever we're doing to help Jesse, but I just like,
So-
if the concern is like the overwhelm with FOIL. which I'm hearing you say it is not, that is
That's
not what this
correct.
is trying to address,
We,
then I'm fine, but,
we're doing this because we realized we should have it.
okay. I mean,
I think one reason it gets confusing is there's like different little pathways kind of. And information, so like you can do this, you can do that.
like what's currently on our website is to me very clear.
It doesn't,
I understand that it's not this and it needs to be policy is what I'm hearing. And we need an appeals officer, so absolutely we need to do that. But you know, it's just like we've gone from like a 1-page, like,
Mhm.
this is what's acceptable, this is what's not acceptable, it's the same number of days. So I'm not trying to be difficult, I really am just like, how did we get from that to this? If all I'm hearing, the substantive change is that we added an appeals officer, it's just like, I don't understand, how you could have so many words to say the same stuff. So I'm just wondering what I'm missing, like,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more information in this document, so.
okay, so is it the same information or is it
The-
new information?
The timelines for, you know, responding, and, you know, I mean, yeah, maybe it comes across as legalese. When I say boilerplate, it came from a model, so.
Right, right, I
it's
mean, obviously,
exhaustive.
I'm not the town for open governments, like, I respect their expertise, I just. I mean, I'm trying to pull it up now, because as I read it, I went from back and forth of like, what's new? And Jesse, I defer to you 1000%, so honestly, you could just tell me this is great and we're done.
It doesn't matter to me if it's a page. 10. Honestly, it's just, we have to have it, so. I think the way that this is written, although it is, you know, may or may not be overkill, I think that there are important things that could perhaps help a resident if they were looking for information on how to, you know, submit a FOIL, maybe. I don't know.
So, I mean, and we will probably, so we have our policies bucket on the website. We'll put this there,
Right,
but that doesn't mean that we can't have a streamlined document on the clerk's page like we do now,
right,
that boils it down. So,
right. Just FAQs about FOIL or like what to know about FOIL or like,
right.
I just want to make, because this, that's not this.
Great.
Well, looking at this, you know, public information request request procedure online that we have now. You know, it says.
That's the procedure, though.
That's the procedure, right, that's. The instructions and form is what, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't say, you know, that 20 days, it says. The reasonable time frame. You'll be told that, so. So. There's a little more detail in this.
Great.
Okay.
All right, well. I'll call a vote if people don't have any more questions or are comfortable with calling a vote.
Yeah.
So, all in favor of adopting this wonky policy? No. Aye, opposed? Great. It's unanimous, Jesse.
Who's second?
I did.
Cal seconded it. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. So Mike Brown spoke to us a couple meetings back about his interest in being on Energy Independent Caroline and so I just wanted to offer a resolution to appoint him to Energy Independent Caroline. And yeah, so I hereby offer a resolution to appoint Mike Brown to the Energy Independent Caroline Volunteer Committee. I will need a second.
Do we, yeah, I'll second it. definitely.
Second, like,
Yep.
Kate, okay,
What's Mike's address?
I don't have it.
Mike, what's your address? He's muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you.
Can now.
What was the question?
Cal wanted to know your address, but you don't have to state it at a public meeting if you don't want.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
be happy to, we're sending an email.
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Why do you?
I heard that he didn't live in the town of Carolina.
Well, you can ask him that question.
Well, that's why I just asked where his address was.
Well, you could just ask if, I mean.
What is going on right now?
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know.
No, I mean, I just. I heard some scuttlebutt that Mike didn't live in the town of Caroline. So I just trying to quantify it, qualify it. I mean, I know where Michelle lives, and I think, you know, it was my understanding that I'm just kind of squelch a rumor.
Mike, do you live in the town of Caroline?
Yes, my permanent address is in Caroline.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay,
He spoke to us about it and when he talked with us, I think, so.
okay.
Anyway, I'm really happy to have him helping with the committee. I'll
I am too.
call for a vote to appoint him. So all in favor? Aye.
I
Opposed? Great, thank you. And I just, probably what I'm gonna do, what I normally, like at the beginning of organizational resolutions at the beginning of the year, then I'll just line out who the members are for the volunteer committees.
Okay,
So.
I guess I should also say, we haven't done this for the ag committee. We're supposed to, let me know, like, we've
Well,
been very
so
casual.
we have, I just wanted, so we do have applications. I haven't gotten them yet, but we could just do it as a. For anybody who's interested in being formally on the ag committee,
Uh-huh,
we could put them in a bucket resolution next month and
okay,
appoint them. I mean, I think it's a good process.
sure, I'm
Just
happy to do it. I'm
It
just,
acknowledges them and,
I'm confessing that I didn't do this.
so, okay, let's do
I
that.
think it also helps, like, the rest of the board know who's on the committee,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
so when they. You
So
know,
let's
when
do
you
it
talk
next
to them,
month.
you go, oh, yeah, you know lots, and, you know, maybe you could help me with something, and.
Okay,
Right.
so we'll do it retroactively.
Sounds good.
Not like we're gonna throw anybody off,
That's right.
or not approve somebody.
Right, well, yeah, I mean, I think my overall philosophy of why we didn't do it was just to be like, limit any barrier. And I'm obviously hypersensitive to it, but I'm sharing that that's,
Yeah.
coming to a meeting, being on Zoom, sharing your personal, sharing anything about yourself, being acknowledged publicly, like all that, in my view, on a variety of levels are potential barriers.
Mhm.
So that's why I chose not to do it. But if there's town policy involved and we retroactively can say, here's your bucket of names and here they are, that's different from requiring people to go
Apply,
through a
yeah,
process
like-
to apply.
Yeah,
So the town has always had on the website, a volunteer application
Yes,
form.
like the general one, right?
Yeah, so,
I should-
and it has the little committees on it and you check the ones you're interested in serving on.
Right,
And so there is a, precedent and history for doing that. And I think it's a good one
yeah,
to just connect people.
yes. No, we should have just added the ag committee to that. That would have been different. That would have felt different, I guess.
Right, okay.
We
I
haven't
thought,
done that.
I thought Velvet did do it.
Everyone said, send a one-liner to Jesse
Yeah.
that said, I want to be on the ag committee.
Okay.
And that's what we did.
Oh, is that what they did? Okay.
So,
I would have put it in terms of explain your interest in being on the. ag
or
committee.
explain, I mean, maybe that was, maybe,
So-
I might be miswording Jesse, right? But like you received anything considered official as opposed to people just participating, right?
That's right. I have all the emails and I have all the, people did write their interests and.
Yeah.
great,
Gee, yeah, I think that's cool.
Right, but we didn't like it.
yeah. Yeah, I vaguely remember having to do that,
Yeah, I mean, I did it
Years
for the
ago.
planning board, like we've certainly done it. I'm
Right.
not like, just,
Cool, okay. Well, we'll do that next time, or next, maybe October business meeting or something like that, or whatever you want to do. We can do a future agenda meeting too,
So we've got the minutes still.
with that.
We can move on to approving the minutes.
Okay,
What about your resolution on the JPAC?
yeah, I need to insert that. Maybe we should do that now.
Resolution.
So I think that's a good idea. So I don't know if, so I did send it out
Oh.
late. Just,
I didn't see it.
so.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, just read it. I included the required language. Which the board resolution, a certified copy of a board resolution is required, which will state the town/village of XYZ authorizes XYZ town village court to apply for a JCAP grant in the 2021, 2022, 23 grant cycle up to $30,000, so. And then I added some other, so, yeah, so the resolution is resolved the town of Caroline. I will offer this resolution. Resolve the town of Caroline authorized Caroline Town Court to apply for a JCAP grant in the 2023 grant cycle of up to $30,000 for a security system for the town's historic town hall, where the Caroline Town Court shares the meeting hall with other town departments. And further be it resolved, Caroline Town Board requests constructive dialogue to make this a project that serves the courts and the town's mutual and individual purposes to the maximum extent possible. And further be it resolved toward that end, the Caroline Town Board requests review of and input on the grant application. I modified that after I sent what I sent you, so. So that I will offer. And before we go any further, would anybody want to second it?
I'll second it. I'll give Kate credit for this one.
Oh, do I get to second?
Yes.
All right, I'll second it.
So Jesse, Cal gave that one to Kate. Any discussion? So there's a lot of history here. They've applied it before.
Yeah.
Does this make sense? My asks and I think.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, can I just look at it? There's nothing, I mean,
They can apply for the grant. I mean. Would be a good thing if they got the grant.
yeah,
Are you reading it further, Cal?
Yeah. I think I'm being nitpicky, but I'd like to change it to resolve the Caroline Town Board request dialogue to make this a project that serves the court and the town's interest to the maximum extent possible.
You don't like the mutual and individual interests or purposes?
I like brevity.
I put that wording in there because I want to make it clear that I'm aware of their, whatever needs they have, that we want to acknowledge those.
Okay.
So that's why I had the individual, but I also think we need to think about this as a joint project that serves the town in general.
As long as it doesn't compromise their getting their
Well,
security system.
that's why I said to the maximum extent possible.
Okay. The other two, you read. Read it.
the language or the fact that we have to do this at all. Sorry, I mean, I just think this is.
You have a concern? Or,
That we have to, I mean, like, that we are where we are with this because of historic things that don't need to be
Mhm.
rehashed, so. You know, the court has already, like, I hear you and I agree, like, no one wants to impede anyone's progress, but like, there was an attempt before. And it was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
So we're trying to now do something to help make it successful,
Correct.
and we should just be clear about that. We are trying to help the court be successful.
Mhm.
We are trying to help the court be successful.
Okay,
We are trying to help the court. Yeah, like, I feel like this is
You're
like,
repeating yourself.
I'm repeating myself because there's confusion evidently about that, but that's what we're trying to do.
We want the court to be successful
And
and
we support the
obtain their-
justices
and to obtain their funding for.
and to help
security.
obtain their funding.
Yep.
And this resolution individually has nothing to do with the application. We are just officially authorizing them to move forward with a process that we're already engaged in dialogue around.
yeah, that's true, but I think what I'm asking here is, the. Basically, I'm saying, if. The claim has been made that this can only be used by the court, period. And so, I mean, if that's true, fine, but I think, this is something that it's gonna, like, by the design, cameras here, there, those are shared spaces. The grant application clearly says if it's in a shared space, this needs to be basically a joint process that the town ponies up for and the state ponies up for.
Right.
And so I just think we need to think of it as a collaborative, like a.
Yeah, or part of the way I see it, here's 6 video cameras. Can there be a splitter so that if we want to hook up a security system, the town, at least this is how, the town council could use the cameras and then this, and as long as there'd be no interference or compromise of, rather than the town decides, we decide we ought to have a security system for our own safety, and then we put in 6 more cameras and
Like, yeah, I'm just gonna.
so.
Yeah.
Yes, the screens, the recorders, all those things should be just the town or just the courts.
I don't know that yeah, this is like, let's just move forward with the resolution, I
Yeah,
guess, because the resolution,
it's fine.
this whole conversation is.
Bizarre.
We have this system here. It's in our building. It's part of the public good. It's like for everyone who uses this building. If the court wanted to use this for teleconferencing for Zoom, which to my knowledge, they have done so.
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
we share.
Yep.
And I would expect that everyone who uses this building, whether it's the court, whether it's a committee, whether it's the historians, but I don't care who you are, that you too would share.
Correct.
That's all.
Yeah,
So, we don't need to have like one camera that is for one person and then another camera that is, in my view, for one other person. We are in a common building,
right, that's
right?
the,
This is what it is. Like you're sitting in a
right,
seat that in another instance would be the court.
right,
I just, so
Yeah,
yes,
so-
let's vote.
okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, great, okay. Thank you for reminding me of that, and let's see, so any comments on the minutes of August 7th? For Jesse? No?
Think of beauty as always.
Great, thanks, Jesse. So the minutes of August 7th are hereby approved.
Yep.
And thank you very much. I'll offer resolution to approve payment of vouchers. Payment of town bills in the amounts of A Fund $43,530.86. DA Fund $111,624.61. And Streetlight Fund $217.99. Okay, I got that one. Any questions or? All in favor? Aye, opposed? I just realized I did a process flood, but I don't think it'll kill us. So before you pay the bill, you're supposed to do the transfers. So I'll offer a I'll offer a budget transfer resolution in the amounts of $1,000 from A 1220.4 supervisors contractual to A 3620.4 code enforcement contractual. $250 from A 1920.4 municipal dues to A 1910.4 allocated insurance. And $2,500 from A 5132.4 garage EQ equipment to A 5132.4 garage contractual. That's the resolution. Anyone want to second that?
I will.
Cal got it? And questions? And no questions? All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Opposed?
You got enough money in the bank to pay.
There you go.
Okay,
Good.
just in time. So now. Great, I think we've accomplished our meeting tasks. Does anybody have anything else before we adjourn? Great, I'll offer a motion to adjourn. Last chance for a second.
I'll do it.
Cal gets it again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 8:38. Thanks, everybody.
You.
Boy, last week you set a record, didn't you? You
Yeah.
adjourned at